3 years she saved for this visa. 3 years she suffered quietly, thinking God had finally chosen her. But what kind of mother watches another woman's daughter rise while her own child remains behind? No, not in my house. By morning, my daughter will be on that plane.
And Nkiru?
And Nkiru? She will wake up to an empty pillow, an empty envelope, and a future that no longer belongs to her. And when she wakes up screaming, I will be right here, drinking my tea.
3 years. 3 whole years this girl had been saving, suffering, planning, praying, and denying herself comfort. 3 years of waking before sunrise. 3 years of selling fabrics under the hot sun. 3 years of sewing late into the night. 3 years of hiding her small savings in a brown envelope, believing that one day God would finally open a door for her. And when that door finally opened, her own family stole the key. That night, while she slept, her stepmother entered her room. Her stepsister stood by the door with a suitcase, and the brown envelope that carried 3 years of sacrifice was taken from under her pillow. By morning, the girl who did nothing was on her way to the airport. And the girl who suffered for everything woke up with nothing. But what they did not know was this. What God has planned for a person cannot be stolen. It can only be delayed. This is the story of Nkiru and the visa they stole. The sun had not yet decided to rise when Nkiru was already on her feet. That was how it had always been in Chief Damien's compound. The roosters crowed. The dog barked. The neighbors were still sleeping. But Nkiru was already moving. She would fold her wrapper neatly, splash cold water on her face from the bucket beside the door, and begin sweeping the compound before anyone else opened their eyes. After that, she fetched water from the tap at the junction before the queue became too long. Then she started the fire for the morning soup. Then she packed her small market bag. Then she prepared herself for another long day of selling fabric and taking sewing jobs. She did all of this quietly. That was the thing people noticed most about Nkiru. Not just what she did, but how she did it without noise, without complaint, without waiting for praise. Her mother had died when she was only 9. It was a brief illness that came during the rainy season and never left. After the burial, people told her to be strong. But nobody taught her how a child was supposed to become strong overnight. Her father, Chief Damien, loved his children. But he was a man who feared conflict. He wanted peace so badly that he often ignored pain. So when he married Mama Amaka, 2 years later, he told himself he was giving Nkiru another mother. But what he gave her, without knowing, was a lesson in survival. Mama Amaka was not the kind of woman who beat children. No, she was smarter than that. She used words, quiet words, sharp words, words carefully chosen and softly delivered. Words that wounded deeply but left no mark anyone could point to. One morning, Nkiru had just finished mopping the parlor floor when Mama Amaka walked in. She looked at the tiles and sighed. Nkiru, you left the corners again. Nkiru lowered her eyes. I will go over them again, Ma. Mama Amaka looked at her with that small smile that never reached her eyes. Your mates are learning meaningful skills. They are building something, but you are here sweeping like a house girl. Nkiru swallowed. Yes, Ma. Mama Amaka shook her head. I don't know what kind of future a girl like you expects. Then she walked away. That was her method. Drop the stone, then leave before the ripple. Pause. Mama Amaka's daughter, Amaka, was different. Amaka was pretty in the way that made people forgive her too quickly. She was loud, warm, careless, always laughing as if life owed her something. She borrowed things and forgot to return them. She started hairdressing twice and quit both times. She had a boyfriend who sent her recharge cards, and she spent the money before it cooled in her hand. She and Nkiru shared the same room. At night, Amaka would talk about abroad, London, Canada, Dubai, anywhere that was not Nigeria. One night, she lay on her back, fanning herself with an old magazine, staring at the ceiling as if the ceiling had offended her. Nkiru, I need to leave this country. Nkiru was writing in her notebook. She did not look up. Then work toward it. Amaka turned sharply. Work toward it. That is all you know. Work, work, work. As if life is only about working. Nkiru closed her notebook slowly. I heard you, Amaka. What else do you want me to say? Amaka hissed. You and your serious face. Forget it. She turned to face the wall. Nkiru lay down quietly. But in her own mind, she was already building a plan. Quietly, the same way she did everything. Nkiru had been trading since she was 16. First, tomatoes and pepper. Then fabric from the market. She sold by the yard, to women in the compound and nearby streets. She kept her money in a brown envelope tucked inside an old Bible her mother had left behind. Not because she was trying to be dramatic, but because that envelope was the only place in that house where something of hers felt safe. She had done a computer training program. She had done a bookkeeping course. She told no one. She just did them before sunrise, between market days, and after the cooking was done. The community noticed, and that was the part Mama Amaka could not control. One afternoon, Mama Tunde stopped Nkiru at the tap. Nkiru, how is market? Nkiru smiled politely. Fine, Ma. Small, but fine. Mama Tunde nodded. I was telling my husband yesterday that you carry yourself well, respectful, hardworking. Your mother trained you before God took her. Nkiru lowered her eyes. Thank you, Ma. Mama Tunde touched her shoulder. God sees you, my daughter. Just keep going. Those things always got back to Mama Amaka. And every compliment the compound gave Nkiru landed in Mama Amaka's ears like an insult. Because the child everyone praised was not hers. Pause. One evening, Chief Damien mentioned at dinner that one of the elders had spoken well of Nkiru. He said it casually, the way men sometimes say things without understanding what it costs the women listening. He said Nkiru has good character, that people talk well of her. Silence settled over the table. Mama Amaka smiled, a practiced smile. Yes, Nkiru tries. Just that. Nkiru tries. Not, we are proud. Not, she is doing well. Just enough words to seem agreeable, and not one word more. Nkiru ate quietly. She said nothing. Chief Damien saw that his house was clean. Food was on the table. Everyone was sitting together. So he told himself things were in order. But he did not see the way Mama Amaka spoke when he left the room. He did not see how Nkiru's food portion had quietly shrunk over the years. He did not see how Nkiru had learned to make herself small just to survive. A father who avoids conflict does not keep peace. He only delays war. Pause. On the evening that would later divide Nkiru's life into before and after, she sat outside on a low stool, sewing a blouse by the last light of the day. The generator had not come on, so she was using the dusk. Amaka came outside and watched her. You, and this you're sewing, as if that is what will take you anywhere. Nkiru did not raise her head. I am only trying to finish this blouse. Amaka folded her arms. You work, and work for what? Some of us have bigger plans. Nkiru kept sewing. Good. Pursue them. Amaka's face hardened. You think you are better than me. I don't think anything about you, Amaka. I am just trying to build my own life. Amaka laughed bitterly. We will see whose life goes further. Then she kicked some shells across the clean ground and went inside. Nkiru moved her stool closer to the last orange glow in the sky and kept sewing. She did not know what was coming. She did not know that the same roof she cleaned, the same family she served, the same house she helped hold together, would soon become the hands that undid her. But she kept sewing, quietly, steadily, the way she always did. Pause. It had taken Nkiru 3 years to build that travel file. 3 years of saving, 3 years of filling forms she did not fully understand, then going back to fill them again. 3 years of visiting the travel agent so many times that the woman at the front desk knew her name without asking. 3 years of gathering bank statements, invitation letters, business proof, photographs, and every document they requested. She kept everything inside a brown envelope. She guarded it the way some people guard their lives. Because to her, it was her life. The visa was connected to a work and business opportunity, a legitimate program for skilled traders and young entrepreneurs. A contact through her fabric supplier had told her about it, and Nkiru followed every instruction, attended every required local interview, submitted every paper, and waited. When the approval letter finally came, she read it 4 times before she allowed herself to cry. She made only one mistake. She brought the envelope home. Not because she was careless, but because Chief Damien's compound was still her home, and she still believed, even after everything, that good news belonged to family. She told her father first. She placed the letter before him carefully. "Papa, my visa came through. The program I told you about. I have been approved." Chief Damien looked up with warm eyes. "Nkiru, this is a good thing. A very good thing." Nkiru's voice trembled. 3 years, Papa. I have been working toward this for 3 years. Chief Damien adjusted his glasses and looked at the paper again. Then he said the words Nkiru had needed to hear for so long. "Your mother would have been proud." Nkiru held those words close, but Mama Amaka had appeared in the doorway. She had been listening. "What is happening?" she asked smoothly. "What letter is that?" Chief Damien smiled. "Nkiru's visa has been approved. She is traveling." Mama Amaka looked at Nkiru. "Is that so?" Then she smiled. "Congratulations, Nkiru." Nkiru should have noticed that the smile did not reach her eyes, but she was too happy to notice. That night, she kept the envelope under her pillow. By morning, it was gone. Pause. She checked the floor. Nothing. She checked the mat. Nothing. She pulled everything off the bed. Nothing. She shook every fold of wrapper. Nothing. She searched the room 3 times with her hands trembling before the truth arrived quietly and completely. Amaka's side of the room was empty. Amaka's bag was gone. Nkiru ran. She ran to her father's room. She ran to the gate. Then she ran to the parlor. Mama Amaka was sitting calmly in the chair, drinking tea. Both hands around the cup. Completely unbothered. Nkiru stood before her, breathing hard. "Where is Amaka? Where are my documents?" Mama Amaka did not even blink. "Lower your voice in this house. My envelope is gone. My visa, my passport, everything I worked for is gone. Where is Amaka?" Mama Amaka sipped her tea. "Amaka has traveled. That is all I know." Nkiru froze. "Traveled?" "Yes." Without a word, Mama Amaka looked at her. "Is she a prisoner?" Nkiru's voice broke. "She traveled with my documents, with my visa. You did this. You gave them to her." Mama Amaka stood slowly. Her voice dropped into something cold. "Watch your mouth. You are in your father's house, not a market." Nkiru screamed. "Papa, Papa, come and hear what has happened." Chief Damien appeared. Nkiru told him everything. The missing envelope. The empty room. Amaka's disappearance. The visa. The documents. The 3 years. He listened. Then he looked at his wife. "Gloria, do you know anything about this?" Mama Amaka placed a hand on her chest. "Me? I know that this girl has been jealous of my daughter from the beginning. Amaka got her own opportunity and traveled. Why must everything be about Nkiru?" Nkiru turned to her father. "Papa, I kept them under my pillow. I am sure." Mama Amaka laughed softly. "Or maybe you misplaced them, and now you want to blame my daughter for your own carelessness." Nkiru looked at her father. She waited. She waited for him to defend her, to ask more questions, to demand the truth. But Chief Damien said nothing more. That silence was its own answer. Pause. The compound heard everything. Compounds always do. By afternoon, the story had already changed shape in the mouths of neighbors. By evening, it had traveled to the next street. Old women shook their heads by the gate. Some said Nkiru should have kept her business to herself. Some said she should have hidden the documents better. Some whispered that jealousy was making her accuse Amaka. One woman said, "You don't bring a visa into a house with jealous people." Another said, "But who knows? These quiet girls can also be proud." Nkiru heard them. All of them. But she said nothing. Mama Tunde came to sit beside her in the fading light. "My daughter, I believe you." Nkiru's eyes filled with tears. "No one will do anything, Ma." Mama Tunde sighed. "There is nothing to do today, but God does not sleep." Nkiru's voice became small. "I built that for 3 years. 3 years." Mama Tunde held her hand. I know. They sat together as the compound moved around them like nothing had happened. Cooking smells rose from kitchens. Children ran past. A radio played somewhere. Mama Amaka walked through the courtyard without looking at Nkiru. That night, Nkiru sat alone outside with nothing in her hands. No sewing, no notebook, no plan. Just the quiet, enormous weight of a future stolen in the dark. She could have screamed. She could have broken something. She could have gone to the police, to the elders, to anyone who would listen. But she already knew how that would end. She had seen how people looked at her that day, with pity that quickly became distance. No one wanted to stand too close to a girl the world seemed to be punishing. So she sat there in the dark and made herself one quiet promise. This will not be the end of my story. She did not say it loudly. She did not say it to anyone. She said it to herself. Because the promises people make in silence are often the ones that hold. Then she went inside, lay down on her mat, and stared at the ceiling until sleep finally took her. Tomorrow she would begin again from nothing. Pause. Nobody claps for a person starting over. That is the part they never tell you. They tell you about resilience, about rising again, about fire making gold stronger. But they do not tell you what it feels like to walk through a market where people used to greet you warmly and watch them look away. Nkiru knew that feeling. On the day she packed her small bag and left Chief Damien's compound, no one stopped her. Her father stood at the doorframe with the expression of a man who knew he had failed but could not find the words to say so. Mama Amaka watched from the window. Nkiru did not look back. She moved into a single room in a Face Me I Face You building off the road. The room had one window, a ceiling that complained whenever it rained, and a landlady who had seen enough of life to mind her business. Nkiru had a little money left. Not much. Enough to buy time, not comfort. She started with what her hands already knew. She got a job at a tailoring shop, not as the skilled trader she had been building herself into, but as an assistant. Someone who cut thread, swept the floor, handed pins to the woman who owned the machines. Her first week, she earned enough for 1 bag of rice and transport for 3 days. The second week, the shop owner, Madam Ifeoma, watched her work. Then one morning, Madam Ifeoma moved her from the floor to the table. Without looking up from her machine, she said, "You have done this before." Nkiru answered quietly, "Small ma, I used to sew at home." Madam Ifeoma looked at her. "Small is not what I see. Sit down. Show me what you can do with this fabric." Nkiru sat. Her hands moved carefully, steadily. Madam Ifeoma watched without speaking. When Nkiru finished, Madame Ifeoma held the work up to the light and turned it slowly. "Who taught you?" Nkiru looked down. "I taught myself, watching, practicing." Madame Ifeoma nodded. You have good hands. I will teach you the rest. That was the first door. Pause. The mockery came from people she had not expected. Not strangers, neighbors. People from the old compound. Women who had praised her at the water tap. Women who had called her respectful. Women who had said, God sees you. Those same mouths now carried different words. She heard them at the market one afternoon. She did not mean to. She was pricing thread when two women from the compound passed behind her. Their voices were low, but not low enough. You see that Nkiru? The one standing there? The visa girl? Yes, she used to form Big Girl, a broad business. Now look at her, buying thread. If you cannot hold your own things, life will teach you. I even heard she accused Mama Amaka's daughter. Jealousy will not let some people rest. Nkiru kept her eyes on the thread. She asked the price. She paid. She left. Then she walked the long way home, so no one would see her face until she had arranged it back into something steady. Meanwhile, abroad, Amaka was discovering something no one had warned her about. Opportunity without preparation is a heavy thing to carry. She had landed with Nkiru's documents, Nkiru's chance, Nkiru's name attached to the program. But none of Nkiru's discipline. The structure of the program felt like punishment to her. The early mornings, the sessions, the accountability, the required work, the deadlines. She started skipping. She found people who made skipping feel like freedom. The money she was given for upkeep went in directions that had nothing to do with upkeep. Within a few months, she was quietly removed from the program. She did not call home to say so. She told her mother. Everything was fine. She found a room with other Nigerian girls and began to survive the way people survive after destroying the thing that was supposed to hold them. One difficult day at a time. Nothing growing underneath. But that was Amaka's story abroad. Nkiru did not know it. And even if she had known, she had no time to wonder. She was too busy building. Pause. Madame Ifeoma taught Nkiru pattern drafting. Nkiru learned to read body measurements the way some people read faces. Quickly, accurately, with confidence. She learned which fabrics moved easily and which fabrics fought back. She learned how to make something from almost nothing and make it look intentional. After 8 months, Madame Ifeoma called her in one morning before the shop opened. I have a customer. A big one. She needs outfits for her daughter's introduction. 12 pieces. All the women in the family. Nkiru listened carefully. Madame Ifeoma continued. She asked me, but I want to give it to you. I will supervise, but you will lead it. Nkiru's eyes widened. Can you do it? Madame Ifeoma asked. Nkiru nodded. Yes, ma, I can do it. Madame Ifeoma looked at her seriously. Good. Don't let your hands lie to me. Nkiru did not let her hands lie. The 12 pieces were delivered on time. They fitted perfectly. The customer photographed every single outfit. She posted them. She tagged the shop. She told her friends. By the end of that week, 3 new customers had walked through Madame Ifeoma's door, asking for the girl who sewed the introduction outfits. They were not asking for Madame Ifeoma. They were asking for Nkiru. Nkiru did not celebrate loudly. She went home to her small room, sat on the edge of her bed, and allowed herself one quiet moment of something that felt like proof. This is working. Then she picked up her notebook and planned the next day. Outside, the city moved and hummed and forgot about her, the way cities forget about everyone who is not yet loud enough to be remembered. Nkiru was not loud yet, but she was coming. Pause. 5 years is a long time. Long enough for a city to forget what it once said about you. Long enough for the women who whispered at the market to need something from you. Long enough for a name that was once spoken with pity to be spoken with a different kind of weight. Nkiru's shop was on a busy road now. A real shop, not a table, not a corner in someone else's space. Her name was on the sign outside in clean letters. Nkiru Okafor Couture. She had 3 girls working under her. She had a waiting list. She had suppliers who called her instead of the other way around. She had built it the same way she built everything. Quietly, completely, without asking anyone's permission. Madame Ifeoma came to the opening of the shop. She sat in the front row of plastic chairs, ate small chops, and watched the whole afternoon with the calm expression of someone who had known this was coming long before anyone else did. When Nkiru came to greet her, Madame Ifeoma smiled. "You remember what I told you that first day?" Nkiru smiled back. "Don't let your hands lie to me." Madame Ifeoma nodded. "Your hands never lied. Not once. I am proud of you, my daughter." Nkiru's eyes softened. "You gave me the first door. I will never forget that." Madame Ifeoma waved her hand gently. "Go and receive your guests. This day belongs to you." And it did. For the first time in a long time, something belonged fully to Nkiru. Pause. Amaka came back on a Tuesday. No announcement, no phone call ahead, just a taxi that stopped at the old compound. One single bag. And a face that had aged in ways that had nothing to do with years. Abroad had not been kind to her. When the program ended and the structure collapsed, she spent more time trying to hold herself together in a country that had no particular interest in helping her do so. She worked small jobs, moved rooms, borrowed money she could not repay, and carried the quiet shame of someone living a life that was never meant to be hers. She wore that shame every day until it became too heavy to pretend otherwise. She came home empty, and she came home knowing it. Mama Amaka had aged too. The compound looked smaller somehow. Some old neighbors were gone. Others had moved away. Chief Damien moved slowly now, his knees troubling him. His television was still on every evening, but his eyes were not always watching it. Within a week of Amaka's return, the money problems became clear. The compound had been running on very little. Mama Amaka had debts she had been managing with pride and silence. And now, with Amaka back and nothing coming in, the silence became harder to maintain. It was Mama Amaka who made the decision, and it cost her more than she wanted to admit. They would go to Nkiru. Pause. They came on a Saturday morning. Nkiru was at the shop reviewing fabric orders with one of her girls when she heard the knock. She looked up. Mama Amaka stood at the door of the shop. Amaka stood slightly behind her. Smaller than Nkiru remembered. Eyes cast downward. Hands folded in front of her, like someone waiting for a verdict. The shop girl looked between them and quietly found somewhere else to be. Nkiru set down her papers. She did not move toward them. She did not move away. Mama Amaka spoke first. "Nkiru, we have come to see you." Nkiru looked at her calmly. "I can see that. Sit down." Nkiru remained standing, not to dominate them, but because her hands needed something to do. And the fabric orders were still on the table. Mama Amaka looked around the shop slowly. The sign, the fabrics, the 3 workstations, the framed receipt of the first order Nkiru had ever completed alone. Madame Ifeoma had suggested she frame it. And she had. Something moved across Mama Amaka's face. It was not exactly guilt. It was the expression of a woman doing arithmetic and not liking the answer. "You have done well for yourself," she said. Nkiru answered simply. "Thank you." Mama Amaka cleared her throat. "We are not in a good position at the moment." Nkiru said nothing. "Things have been hard. Amaka is back. We are trying to settle. We need some help financially, just to get back on our feet." The shop was quiet. Outside, the road moved as usual, motorcycles passing. Music from a nearby shop. A woman calling out fabric prices, life continuing as it always did. Nkiru looked at Mama Amaka, then at Amaka, who had not raised her eyes once since sitting down. Then she looked at the framed receipt on the wall. She thought about the brown envelope under her pillow. The morning she woke up, and it was gone. Her father's silence. The compound women and their whispers in the market. The small room where she started again. The nights she planned alone with no one watching. She thought about all of it. And then she let it go. Not for them, for herself. Because in 5 hard years, she had learned that bitterness is a prison you build and then agree to live inside. She pulled a chair and sat across from them. When she spoke, her voice was calm and clear. I am not going to give you money. Mama Amaka's jaw tightened. So you want to humiliate us after everything? Nkiru looked at her. I did not invite you here, Ma. You came, and I am speaking to you with more respect than this moment requires. Mama Amaka's face hardened. Nkiru continued. Please hear me. What was done to me was wrong. You know it. I know it. The compound knows it. Amaka's eyes filled with tears. Nkiru kept speaking. That is not why I built this place, but I will not write a check over it either, as if money can fold it up and put it away. Amaka finally spoke. Her voice was barely a whisper. Nkiru, I am sorry. The shop held that sentence for a long moment. Nkiru looked at her stepsister fully for the first time since they sat down. I know you are. Amaka's eyes rose, red-rimmed, ashamed. I didn't. It wasn't supposed to. Nkiru stopped her gently. It does not matter now. What is done is done. Amaka began to cry silently. Nkiru's voice remained steady. And you have already lived the consequence of it. I do not need to add to that. She stood, smoothed the fabric on the table, then walked to the door and held it open. Not in anger, but with the quiet, unmistakable energy of a woman who knew exactly where her boundaries were. A woman who had paid for every one of them. I hope things get better for your family, Nkiru said. Genuinely. But I cannot be the one to fix it. Mama Amaka stared at her. So that is it? Nkiru nodded. That is it. Then she said the words with calm finality. That chapter is closed. Mama Amaka walked out first. Amaka followed. At the door, Amaka stopped and turned. One last look at Nkiru. At the shop. At the name on the sign outside. Then she left. Pause. Nkiru stood alone in her shop for a moment. No anger, no tears. No relief even. Just the deep settled stillness of a woman who had walked through fire and come out the other side knowing exactly who she was. Then she went back to her fabric orders. She picked up her pen and kept working. The way she always had. The way she always would. Because they had stolen the envelope. They had stolen the trip. They had stolen the first door. But they had not stolen her hands. They had not stolen her discipline. They had not stolen the blessing her mother left inside her. And they had not stolen her destiny. The end. Pause. If you watched this story to the very end, thank you. And remember this, people can steal what is in your hand, but they cannot steal what God placed inside you.